Hello, everyone. Welcome to this episode of Sunday Messages. And it's nice and cozy. I have long sleeves on today, finally. And the other thing that I want to mention is I have no submissions today. I am totally caught up on prayer requests, podcast submissions, all that stuff. So I just want to remind you, if you do have anything that you would like me to address, if you do have a prayer request, please submit it. It makes these episodes extra juicy, but we are going to see what comes up today. So let's go ahead and start with a collective prayer. Let me just tune in for a second and see what everyone is needing in this moment. Take a few deep breaths. I'm in full agreement for everyone who's listening to this to feel anchored into their truth, their inner sense of knowing, their sense of self, the direction in which they desire to go. I'm in full agreement for you to feel clarity around that. Full agreement for clarity in general. That's the other thing that I'm getting for a lot of you is that wanting clarity around circumstances, situations, events, decisions that you're making, upcoming transitions that you have. I'm sensing a lot of activity for many of you that's brewing. So I'm in full agreement for the path ahead to feel really clear, really direct and straightforward for all of you. Full agreement for you to allow ease, for you to let it be easy, for you to let it be fun, and for you to remember that it's safe for you to be in pleasure around all of this. I'm just tuning in if there's any final pieces for you. I'm in full agreement for you to understand that less is more. Really take that with you this week. Less is more. Let yourself see where that goes. What happens if you just dial back the effort, right? Dial back the trying, dial back the forcing. Less is more. Less explanation. Giving fewer reasons. Like just dial it back. Let less be more. Let the micro movements carry more potency. Let your alignment do the work. Let your energetic field do the work. Allow your energetics to be the engine here in all of this. Full agreement. Good things all around. Okay. Let me tune in. If you have any topic requests, you're welcome to request a topic if you want me to riff on anything. But let me tune in if there's anything that I'm getting needs to be spoken in this episode. Okay, so the main message that's coming through has to do with trust. And what you are trusting or flexing the muscle of trust. And so I want to remind all of you here that trust has nothing to do with putting trust in other people, circumstances, situations. That is not where you are trusting. And if you do, you're going to end up feeling destabilized naturally because those things are not going to be stable. And that's not where your stability is going to come from. So if you are waiting for a circumstance to shift in order for you to feel stable, then you're going to feel distressed because there's going to be distress in your system until whatever. And that's just not going to feel good along the way. So you want to look at what is the energetic composition of what you want to be creating. So you kind of want to go into this space of, if I knew all of this were to work out, play into that feeling state more. So instead of, I need to trust the circumstance, nope, go back to trusting your energy around it. Because if you understand that your energetic body, your energetic field is what is going to shape what comes next, then you have all the power. Then it doesn't matter how that circumstance or that relationship or that conversation works out, because you understand that the stability is held within. And because of that, it's a guarantee that what you're going to have reflected back to you is stability. Because stability creates stability, creates stability. So you've got to go there first. When you go there first, that's where the guarantee actually comes from. It is not from the circumstance. It is not external. So do not put your trust in, or this idea of a guarantee, don't put it outside of yourself, because the situation and circumstance could reorganize itself in many ways. And your confidence has to be in your own energetic mastery, not what you're seeing in front of your face temporarily. So understand there's a lot of changes that could easily take place, and your fixation or dependency on what's happening over there is what creates the perceptual roller coaster ride, right? So if it's, I'm not going to feel good until my partner says da da da, or I'm not going to feel peace until this happens. It's like, it's not that peace is not going to be available to you. It's just not going to be stable. So you could get that outcome. It might totally go well. But what you want to consider is, wouldn't it be nice if I could just access that within myself proactively, know that that's what I'm going to get, know that it's going to be reflected back to me, and let the pieces fall where they may. You get to want what you want. This is not about dropping desires or letting go of anything. No. You are just putting yourself in a position where your desires can harmonize with you, and where everything that you do want is able to come in easily. Because getting into the mental game or putting all of your eggs in one basket is the type of thing that can create more resistance. So I hope that you hear me correctly when I'm telling you to fully want what you want, but understand that the emotional state that you access within yourself is the biggest creative force that you have available to you. And if you really want to get good at swaying outcomes for yourself, that is the place where you want to play. And that's the skill that you want to master, is allowing yourself to really immerse yourself in an emotional experience proactively. That's the whole game. That's the whole game. That's manifestation at its core. Feel the feelings before it arrives. Feel the emotional state before you have evidence. Go into it proactively. This is a proactive game at its core, and that is the piece that you can trust. You are trusting your energetic state. You are trusting yourself. You are trusting your energy. You are trusting you. What's going on with you internally. You're trusting your ability to go somewhere proactively, tap into an emotional state without evidence. Without evidence. You've got to go there. Let yourself play there this week. And I mean, forever. That's what we want. That's always what we want to do. But just let yourself flex that muscle more. So that is what I have to say about trust in this moment. That's what wanted to come through. Anything else? And then we're going to pull some tarot, and then I'm going to wrap up for the day. So the other thing is, don't forget the Nightery is open if you want to work with me. If you've been itching to get into a container with me, this is a great option. It's, 1 month minimum. So it's very low commitment. There's no long-term obligations. It's very flexible. It's flexible with time. It's at your disposal. It's whenever you want to be in the container. It's going to be a really good time. If you want to work on manifestation with me, if you want to work on improving your life, creating an epic reality, having fun with this whole energetic game that we're doing, if you want to talk practices and different types of spiritual practice, meditation, different processes for getting whatever it is that you desire, this is the place to do it. You get to talk about all of the magical things with me, and it's going to be a really good time. So one thing to keep in mind about how it's organized is I let people in on the first of each month. So doors will open November 1st, and then if you get in after that point, I will let people in December 1st. So it's only on the 1st of every month, even though applications are rolling until it's full. And then whenever spaces open up is when I'll open up applications again. So yes, there's rolling admission as long as it's not full. And if you get in on November 15th, your month won't actually start until December 1st. So keep that in mind in terms of timing. That's how it's set up and structured. And link in the description box, link in the bio, or link in the show notes, wherever it is that you're listening to this. So that is what I have for you there. Check it out. It's a great way to work with me. It's going to be a lot of fun. Okay, now let's pull some tarot. See what you have coming up this week. One more thing before I forget. I just did an episode of Current Magic. So go check that out if you're interested. If you want to see what's coming up in my work, all of the different classes that are coming up, all of the different stuff that I have going on. If you're interested in that, go watch that episode. I go in depth on all sorts of stuff. All right, first thing, 4 of Cups. No is powerful. So what you are saying no to, or deciding, it's not for me, right? We're not talking about fighting something or being in deep resistance around it. It's more of like, I'm not committing to that. Like, consider how the quality of energy spent is worth considering. And it's just as powerful as saying a yes. King of Swords. Doing things your way. Innovation, letting yourself do what you want, when you want, how you want to do it. Like, trust your style. That's more than anything else what the King of Swords really offers is there's no cookie cutter style of doing things. That's not how this works. So it gets to be individualized and personal to you. Let it be. And also stay away from comparison. Particularly right now, I'm getting that some of you are going to be really wanting to get feedback from others, and I'm advising against that, or the King of Swords is advising against that. Like, don't worry about how other people are doing it, because other people's process may not work for you. For example, if someone told me, Sydney, your morning routine has to be the same things in the exact same order, I would go bananas. That is not how I live my life. I do things at different times. I have a general rhythm, but the order of operations changes, the duration changes. There's all sorts of variability to how I do things. But at the same time, that may not be right for someone else either. So let the differences and the diversity be there, and trust yourself to know what is best for you, what is right for you, what is true for you, what works for you. You know all this stuff. You know this stuff, and if you don't, feel free to explore, but do not compare to others. That's the key thing. And then Knight of Cups. Self-talk. Self-talk. That's what's coming through. Because I'm like, there's something about the heart. There's something about being loving. There's something about being nurturing. And then I realized it's inner dialogue. What we want to keep in mind is that a lot of emotional improvement comes from inner dialogue. Might be one of the most important things. This reminds me, I actually wanted to do like a solo episode just on inner dialogue alone, but I'll put it here. Inner dialogue is how you shift your emotional state in large part. So when we're talking about what you feel, think about a traumatic event happens once, right? So there might be a moment where something bad happens, but then what's happening after? It could be replaying the story, but the other thing is how you're talking to yourself about the event, what you're thinking about the event, how you're talking to yourself about it, the judgments that you have towards yourself, like the nasty judgments, the criticisms, the punishing tone that you're taking with yourself. What people don't realize is that the inner voice is a tonal shift. So it's one of the things that creeps up on people, and they a lot of the time don't realize that they're doing it. Like they're saying something so critical and so punishing to themselves, and they're taking this like nasty tone with themselves. That's the part that you want to make sure that you're softening. And maybe you have a pretty good handle on that for the most part, but the Knight of Cups is actually wanting you to take it a step further. It's like, no, step it up into being a little bit more encouraging, be a little bit more supportive, be a little bit kinder, be a little bit more loving, like just bump it up a little bit. Kind of like if you're in this comparison energy, like what I was reading before. Oh, and that also makes sense with the Four of Cups. Sorry, this is in my way. As far as someone may present something to you and you say, you know what, I don't think that's right for me. That's the level of knowing and trust within yourself that you really want to have this week. And instead of, being hard on yourself for not doing something or doing something a different way or having a different vision for it, it's like move with it, trust it. So do things your way, be really gentle with yourself as you do it, and don't be afraid to disregard things that are simply a no for you. I find that people are really wanting other people's methods of success to work for them as well. But one of the problems with that is when someone finds something that really works for them, it's because they've explored enough. They've cherry-picked all the pieces. They've experimented with enough processes for them to really have their bearings around what's functional for them and what makes sense. And so you want to consider that you're finding your own way. You're finding your own path too. It's not going to be this universal experience. It's not cookie cutter. Now, people offering their teachings or offering their suggestions coming from experience is wonderful, but that doesn't negate the fact that you want to experiment, you want to try, and you want to choose for yourself. Know what works, know what doesn't. But don't try to force yourself to do something that simply isn't right for you. Right? Like that's the key thing that I think the Four of Cups is coming up for is if you're seeing this, like some ridiculous methods that are completely contrary to how you feel you organically live, then it's probably not going to be super compatible with you. Elements of it may be, but there are so many different people with different styles and different practices and different ways of being. Let that be there and fully own this is what works for me, or these are the things that I like, or this sounds most compatible with what's good for me and what works for my lifestyle. You get what I'm saying? So let yourself honor that. That's the big thing that wants to come through, and make sure you keep an eye on that inner dialogue and soften. Paying attention to thoughts is good, but understand that your dialogue is what you're actually shifting. So the inner dialogue thing and the thought watching doesn't really work if it's from a place of punishment, or if it's, you shouldn't be thinking things like that. If it gets too punishing, well, that's the problem. That's the very thing that you want to correct. So be gentle, be kind, be soothing, be good to yourself, be loving towards yourself as much as you possibly can, and see what happens, because it's going to help you move faster. A lot of the time you might be holding things out or slowing things down just based on how you're talking to yourself and the tone that you're taking with yourself. So consider you can go a lot faster if you just soften it up a bit. Okay? So that is all for the reading this week. I hope you've enjoyed. I hope you've enjoyed this episode. Make sure if you want to check out the Nighterly, go check out the link. It's in the description box, show notes, you know the drill. And I will see you beautiful people next week. Have a great time, and I will talk to you later. Bye.